T-Rex is, without any doubt, one of the most famous and at the same time one of the most terrifying dinosaurs that our planet has ever known. So creepy and intimidating that the mere thought of meeting one instantly awakens in any of us the most genuine, animalistic primal fear, that very bone-chilling horror that makes your blood run cold and your legs give way. And this is not exaggeration at all, not empty words for dramatic effect. This is pure truth. We are all used to seeing it in Hollywood blockbusters. A gigantic, thundering, clumsy brute that stomps across the ground like an elephant in a china shop, smashing everything in its path. But reality turned out to be far scarier, far cleverer, and much more captivating. In fact, T-Rex possessed a multitude of hidden, almost unimaginable abilities and adaptations that made it a truly nightmarish creature. One of the most efficient, merciless, and horrifying predators of the entire Cretaceous period. In this video, I will reveal facts that will genuinely turn your perception of this monster upside down and, quite possibly, make you shudder from a sudden chill. Why was it practically impossible to hide from T-Rex, even if you tried with all your might? In what incredible way did it manage to conceal its presence, remaining invisible to its victims? Why wouldn't you even hear this colossal predator approaching you? Could Tyrannosaurs have grown even larger than we are accustomed to imagining from museum skeletons? Why does its gaze evoke such an inexplicable, paralyzing, almost hypnotic fear? And what would really happen to you if you suddenly found yourself in the Cretaceous period, right on its hunting territory, face to face with this embodiment of terror? T-Rex rightfully ranks as one of the most intimidating predators in the entire history of Earth. And the point here is far from only its colossal physical power, incredible size, or purely carnivorous, bloodthirsty nature. It had many other, much less obvious, and therefore even more chilling, features that almost no one mentions in popular films, series, or even documentaries. Let's take just one of the most shocking and terrifying facts. You wouldn't even realize that T-Rex is already standing right behind your back until it's too late, until its shadow completely engulfs you. Scientists studied the structure of the Tyrannosaur's feet very seriously and in great detail, and came to truly unexpected, almost unbelievable conclusions. How could such a massive, multi-ton creature, seemingly inevitably noisy, sneak up on prey almost silently, like a ghost? It turns out that T-Rex's legs, just like those of many other large predatory theropods, had a unique, finely honed by evolution anatomical structure that effectively masked and damped any sounds of steps, and most importantly, drastically minimized the transmission of destructive vibrations through the soil and ground. Let's break this down as clearly, vividly, and step by step as possible so you can feel the full scale of the horror. Modern African elephants, weighing 5 to 7 tons, create powerful seismic soil vibrations with every ordinary step, vibrations that other elephants and specialized scientific instruments easily detect up to 32 kilometers away. These low-frequency seismic waves often convey information far more reliably than ordinary airborne sounds because wind, rain, dense vegetation, weather conditions, and other interferences have almost no effect on them. Paleontologists carefully analyzed thousands of fossilized footprints from various dinosaurs, including T-Rex, and discovered a truly astonishing, shocking detail. The special shape, structure, and footpads of the Tyrannosaur created a unique, unconventional pattern in the spread of these seismic waves. At a distance of about 20 to 25 meters, the waves behaved completely differently than in most large land animals. The closer the predator stealthily crept toward its prey, the weaker, quieter, and less noticeable these vibrations became. The intensity of the vibrations did not increase as it approached. It remained almost constant, or even slightly decreased, deceiving every instinct. The prey simply could not tell from these vibrations. Is this monster still far away? Or is it already a few steps away, ready to pounce? Scientists even coined a special term for this phenomenon: seismic camouflage. In essence, this is a natural, perfectly refined version of stealth technology, only far more sophisticated, ancient, and perfect. It was precisely this clever foot shape that gave predatory dinosaurs a colossal evolutionary advantage. They could approach prey while remaining practically invisible, inaudible, and imperceptible even to the most sensitive and cautious herbivorous giants. Interestingly and tellingly, nothing like this was observed in herbivorous dinosaurs. Such an adaptation was exclusively a weapon of predators. Evolution endowed them not only with visible terrifying features like razor-sharp dagger teeth and powerful muscular legs, but also with the subtlest, almost imperceptible physical adaptations tied to the mechanics of wave propagation through the Earth. Picture the scene in full detail. You find yourself in the Cretaceous period, surrounded by tall ferns, horsetails, and ancient trees. Then suddenly, a huge dark shadow falls over you, and nearly 10 tons of living primordial death are already standing right behind your back. Even just thinking about it is incredibly eerie and sends shivers down your spine. And by the way, this is yet another very weighty, irrefutable proof that T-Rex was an active, calculating hunter, not just a lazy scavenger as some still stubbornly claim. But this, of course, is only the tip of a huge iceberg of horrors. We all know perfectly well how colossal T-Rex was. Average length about 12 to 13 meters, weight up to 10 tons. A true living tank of the prehistoric era. However, even among tyrannosaurs, individuals varied greatly in size, just as among us humans. There were more compact specimens like the famous Stan, about 11 meters long, and real giants like Scotty, nearly 13 meters of pure power. We humans are also very different, some 170 centimeters tall, some 190 centimeters, and there are the rarest giants like basketball player Victor Wembanyama with his incredible 225 centimeters. So, among tyrannosaurs, there were also their own 1%, ultra-rare, ultra-gigantic individuals that stood out even against their already enormous relatives. Scientists, carefully relying on biomechanics, precise skeletal proportions, and complex mathematical growth models, calculated that the largest, extremely rare T-Rexes could reach 14.5 to 15 meters in length and weigh from 13 to 14.5 tons. This is already simply beyond human imagination. An ordinary T-Rex already looks like an absolute nightmare monster, and a 15-meter specimen is some kind of apocalyptic, end-of-the-world level of terror. Could they have been even bigger? Unfortunately, beyond that begins the zone of extreme improbability, almost impossibility. The laws of physics, biomechanics, and the strict limits of the ecosystem simply did not allow it. It would be too hard to find enough food to sustain such mass, and even to move normally without the risk of breaking its own bones. Therefore, the real ceiling for T-Rex is approximately 15 meters in length and 14 tons in weight. But even such gigantic individuals were born incredibly rarely. According to the most modest scientific estimates, to find even one complete skeleton of such a monster, humanity would have to conduct continuous excavations for 1,000 years without stopping. And yet there are indirect but very convincing hints of the existence of such giants. The famous Sioux, 12.5 meters, was most likely killed by an even larger relative, judging by the characteristic bite marks on her bones. And among scattered fragmentary finds, individual bones appear that clearly exceed even Sioux in size. So 13-meter T-Rexes were already quite common. 14-meter ones were a major but real rarity. And a full 15-meter T-Rex is already almost a legend of the Mesozoic. Almost a myth, yet one that could still walk the earth. And now, close your eyes and imagine such a 14-meter nightmare silently, unnoticed, emerges right behind your back. But this is still far from everything. Hold on tight, because it only gets scarier from here. Many of us habitually think, okay, T-Rex is huge, silent, cunning, but surely clumsy. You can dodge, zigzag, confuse it like in some action movie. A huge, fatal mistake. In reality, T-Rex had one of the lowest moments of rotational inertia among all large predatory theropods. In simple terms, incredible, almost superhuman maneuverability for such a gigantic beast. This is also called rotational inertia, and his was minimal thanks to a perfectly balanced body structure. If the prey panicked and suddenly changed direction during the chase, T-Rex could pivot almost on the spot, instantly correct its trajectory, and continue the pursuit without losing speed or balance. The low center of gravity, powerful yet surprisingly flexible thigh muscles, and special arrangement of vertebrae allowed him to execute turns with terrifying ease and precision. As if this wasn't a 10-meter lizard, but a predatory cat the size of a truck. Trying to escape by weaving, dodging, or running in circles is the worst possible idea, practically suicide. This completely debunks the old, comforting myth that T-Rex was big, but slow and clumsy. So don't even think about such tricks. His body was literally built to catch and seize fleeing prey at any cost. And of course, don't hope that you could somehow survive if this monster finally caught you. The bite force of his jaws, according to the most varied and meticulous expert estimates, ranges from 4 to over 7 tons per square centimeter, averaging around 6 tons, with peaks even higher. That's 6 times more powerful than the strongest modern bite force record holder, the saltwater crocodile, and roughly 15 times stronger than a lion, the king of today's predators. His maw isn't just a mouth. It's a living weapon of mass destruction. One precise bite, and the victim's bones shatter into dust, flying apart in fragments, muscles and tendons torn like paper. A human skeleton would be child's play for him. It would be like crunching a dry twig, but even if you somehow miraculously avoided the teeth, hiding from him is still impossible. T-Rex had some of the largest and most developed olfactory bulbs among all known land predators, meaning his ability to find prey by scent was downright supernatural. The nasal cavity was long, with a massive surface area covered in millions of receptors that detected even the tiniest scent molecules. Moreover, air inside the T-Rex's nose moved at different speeds in different zones. Scientists believe this allowed him to better separate and analyze odors. Some molecules are captured better in fast airflow, others in slow. In the end, for such a predator, locating you within a full kilometer radius is no challenge at all. A couple of minutes, and he already knows exactly where you're hiding, even if you're crouched in bushes or behind a tree, and you can already guess that the list of his super abilities is nowhere near finished. Scientists discovered that T-Rex had an extraordinarily long cochlea in the inner ear. The longer this organ, the better an animal distinguishes sounds, especially low frequencies. Plus, massive air-filled cavities inside the skull that acted as natural resonators and amplifiers. They greatly boosted low frequencies, letting him hear the movement of large prey hundreds of meters away, or even communicate with relatives across vast distances, much like modern elephants with their infrasound signals. This means T-Rex heard far better than any human. If you can't hear or feel him, that doesn't mean he can't hear you. He picked up every rustle, every step, every heartbeat in the silence. And now, the climax. The gaze. Unlike many other large predatory dinosaurs, T-Rex had full binocular vision. He looked at you with both eyes at once, creating a three-dimensional image with perfect depth perception. And this looks exponentially creepier than in any movie. Imagine those huge, cold yellow eyes locking onto you without the slightest movement. But it's not just the creep factor. His eyes were adapted to tracking fast-moving objects at the highest level. This is evident from the structure of the inner ear, eye muscles, and neural connections. He had a powerful vestibulo-ocular reflex, a system that keeps the gaze locked on a target even during rapid head movements. The head position in hunting stance was also optimized, tilted slightly downward by about 10 degrees. This provided the clearest and widest field of view. Now, imagine, he steps out of the darkness of the forest or tall grass, staring straight at you with binocular vision, and you realize you can't escape this gaze. He reacts faster than you can even twitch. The line from Jurassic Park, "He only sees movement," is complete nonsense and rubbish. He sees you perfectly, sees you better than you see him, and locks onto every movement instantly. T-Rex is not a mindless killing machine as movies often portray him. He is a 10 to 14 ton, 13 to 15 meter, perfectly adapted natural assassin, crafted by evolution for maximum efficiency. You can't outrun him. He's too agile. You can't hide. He smells you from a kilometer away. You can't stay concealed. He hears and sees better than anyone. You won't even sense his approach. He masks the vibrations of his steps. A true nightmare that makes your knees tremble and awakens primal fear at the instinctual level. People panic over an ordinary dog weighing 30 to 40 kilograms. Now imagine yourself at night in the Cretaceous period, on his territory. Complete silence. No sound, no vibration, no shadow. But he already knows exactly where you are. He sees you, hears you, smells you. And he's coming. Slowly. Inexorably. We're used to thinking of dinosaurs as clumsy, noisy giants from the past, but they were real animals, cunning, intelligent, adapted, terrifying. Possibly even scarier than modern tigers, crocodiles, and great white sharks combined. Smash that like button if you now have real goosebumps and feel the urge to look over your shoulder, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new exposés on prehistoric monsters, and remember the most important thing: thinking is truly useful.